in the beginning. Before the church, before the law, before the fall. Before everything there was God. Our identity, our story, even our purpose. Everything has to start somewhere. And in the beginning, God.
Another question really does, and this will get us into some hot water, I'm pretty sure. But it's the issue of identity. We ask ourselves, who are we, and what are we? It was the old saying that happened when I was in school. It's like you're gonna go to college and go find yourself. Find out who you are. Today they're far more explicit, right? Now even our schools are teaching people, hey, you can just choose who you are. You know what? The God who breathed life into Adam, the God who spoke and this world leapt into existence, the God under whose rules you exist, says otherwise. He says, if you want to know who your identity is, if you want to know who you are, come here and I'll show you. Any image or any identity you might choose is less than what God has says you are. And what did God say? God said that he created us in his image, and he created us male and female. And here's the thing. Are there people today who genuinely struggle with this? And I'm not intending to mock them, not even in the slightest. There are people who genuinely, who are struggling with who they are. But why are they doing that? It's because my generation and the one before has confused them. We're the ones who messed them up, not God. We're the ones who have twisted them up. We're the ones who've said, oh, hey, just go pick whatever you want to be. That's not how the world works.
So why did this generation do that?
Because we're selfish.
Because we were lazy?
Because we made it all about us. Because we're lazy. Pick one. Because it's probably a combination of several of those things. How do we address it, though? Because here's the thing. I don't believe we ought to call out a problem or even point a finger at a problem without saying, here's the solution. And the solution is in Genesis chapter 2. You were created in the image of God. You are a child of the King of Kings. Start there.
Because God is so vast, God doesn't just lump us all into one big ball of people. Now, while we are to be together, God knows us intimately, individually. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I have an intimate relationship with God that's a bit unique in that I am different than you. Now, it doesn't mean, and what I mean by that, I guess the best comparison I could have is if you have more than one children, and you do, and your relationship with one is equally as good as the other, but there's some differences because that person is individually different than this person. Yes. And the reason I say that's
what makes those relationships cool.
That's
because
my
they are different.
Because I have this intimate, unique relationship with the Creator.
A relational God, one who we are told at the beginning, right? Let us make, man in our image. And part of that image, I think a big part of that image is the relational nature of that. He says, and he creates Adam, and then he creates, who would become Eve, and he creates them so that they can live in relationship with one another. So this, again, flies in the face of so much of today's thinking. What did God intend? He intended for us to live out this amazing relationship in such an intimate fashion that not only will other little people be created as a result of it, but that we'll be able to walk together in that kind of a relationship. That is ultimate purpose, and it is ultimate identity. And everything else is man's attempt to thwart the God who spoke and stuff happened.
The beginning matters. Knowing who God is and what he's done, knowing where we come from, helps us understand where he is leading us.